Oh boy, it's time to review the Beats Solo 2. I bought a pair of these at JB Hi-Fi in Australia for $210. I've used them for over a month now, comparing them with other popular on-ear headphones like the V-Moda XS and the Sennehsier Amperior, and now I'm ready to give my verdict. Now, few headphones have caused as much controversy in headphone enthusiast circles as the Beats Solo 2. There has been some really positive reviews, there's been some really negative reviews, and for some people saying that Beats made a good headphone is a bit of an oxymoron. But here on my channel, I believe in giving everything a fair go. So you're watching Lachlan Likes a Thing, and let's find out if I liked these. Hey everyone, welcome to Lachlan Likes a Thing, the show where I take a thing and see whether or not I like it. Now the thing we're looking at in this video is the new Beats Solo 2, but before we begin the review, you might have noticed the new button in the corner of the video right in front of my slowly dying houseplant. That is the new YouTube fan funding feature, and if you like my reviews and you like what I'm doing on my channel, please consider giving a small contribution. As you might know, if you're a regular subscriber, I don't take review units anymore, so any kind of small contribution helps keep the channel going and helps, me get new gear to review on this channel. But anyway, let's go right into the review. Now, let's start with the design. I actually think the Solo 2 is quite an attractive looking headphone. This is always going to be a matter of personal preference, but I think it's kind of like a bit of a minimalist design that's still kind of fun looking. And if you compare the Solo 2 to other Beats headphones, even compared to the most recent Studio 2, you can see that Beats has actually been getting slowly more and more subtle with their designs. So with the Studio 2013, you have a bunch of different kind of color accents. You have the gray tone around the logo, the kind of metal band here, the chrome trim around the ear cup. You're getting something toned down quite literally with the Solo 2, so it's only just a few colors now. And I actually think it's a bit more of a subtle, a bit more of a subdued, and more of a refined look. Now, I would have preferred a matte plastic finish instead of the gloss plastic. I know a lot of people feel that way. That said, this is going to be a bit of a Beats signature as far as the gloss plastic goes, and probably more likely than not, they'll also make a matte version of this headphone because they make these headphones in every color under the sun. As far as the physical build quality of this headphone goes, I think it's a decent build for an all-plastic headphone. There's a number of squeaks and creaks in the actual headband when you twist it and kind of fold it. It does fold up into a really nice compact little shape. Now, if you compare the physical build to something like the V-Moda XS, it doesn't feel nearly as premium. The XS, with its mixture of metal and plastic parts, feels like a really solid, well-built headphone, and the Solo 2 doesn't feel nearly as nice. Compared to the Sennehsier Amperior, the Sennehsier Amperior is a little rough around the edges in terms of design, but the actual physical build is, again, really solid. You get these metal ear cups. And every single part of this headphone is replaceable because it is a professional or DJ kind of product. On the Solo 2, not even the ear pads are replaceable, which is quite frustrating. Apparently, if the ear pads wear out, which they inevitably will if you plan to keep this headphone for longer than a few years, you apparently have to send this headphone in for a complete replacement. They'll give you a new unit, which honestly sounds like a lot of hassle to me. So I have to ding this headphone because I really think that the ear pads themselves should be user replaceable. But apart from that, there's nothing that really makes me think that this headphone is going to fall apart. It's a durable looking design. I think the cables especially are really nice on the Solo 2. They are supple and thick, and they have a really nice 90-degree plug on the end of them. So that's a really nice aspect of the design. Now, one criticism I can make of the Solo 2, they fold up into a really nice shape, but the carrying pouch that you get with the Solo 2 is just a little too small. So it's a bit of a, each time you put it in, you have to kind of stretch the the zipper around it until you can close it up. Now, compared to the hard case that you get with the Studio 2013, I much prefer this hard case. It's much easier to put the headphones in and out of, and it's much easier, well, it's much more protective of the headphones. So let's talk about comfort. Now, this is definitely a bit of a mixed bag. The ear pads on the Solo 2 are really nice. They're really soft and supple, and they have a nice pillowy feel to them. But the clamping force on the Solo 2 is actually very high. And it has loosened up after about a month's worth of wear, but they are still definitely on the higher than average side for an on-ear headphone. And that means, especially if you wear glasses, you'll find that the headphones do compress your ears. On the arms of my glasses, I find that my ears start to get a bit sore after about 1 hour of wear. And in that respect, they're very similar to the Sennehsier Amperior in terms of wearing comfort. Now, I actually find the Amperior slightly more comfortable than the Solo 2, but I've also owned this headphone for longer, so it may be that the headband has just loosened up a bit more over time. It's not as comfortable as the V-Moda XS, but I actually think the XS has so low clamping force that it doesn't actually feel steady on the head. So it's a mixed bag. I can tell you, if you have glasses, you may want to at least try these out before you make a blind buy. If you don't wear glasses, I suspect that these will be decently comfortable for you, but be prepared for a stronger clamp. Now, in terms of noise isolation, the Solo 2 actually is quite good. It blocks out a lot of noise, very much on par with the Sennehsier Amperior, a lot better than the V-Moda XS. So it is a well-engineered headphone as far as on-ear headphone for your daily commute. So let's talk about the sound, and depending on how much you've heard about these headphones, it may or may not surprise you to hear me say that I think the sound is actually the best aspect of the Solo 2. Now, first and foremost, you should know that these headphones are bassy sounding headphones. They are not neutral. They're not going to please anyone who wants a kind of neutral, flat sounding sound, even compared to things like the Amperior or the XS. These are headphones that are very much in the tradition of delivering a lot of kind of low-end punch. The low end on this headphone is very, very thick. It's very, very chesty sounding. It's almost at times almost boomy sounding, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that the bass sounds sloppy or uncontrolled. On the contrary, it sounds extremely tight. It's low, it's well extended, it is really well controlled. It's just very, very emphasized, and that's going to be something that jumps out at you as soon as you listen. Now, I found that the bass can just be a bit too thick at times for my personal preferences, but it is something that you do get used to, and on some tracks it's just really kind of satisfying and visceral. So it really depends on your preferences. In terms of vocals and mids, I actually found the Solo 2 is actually quite well balanced in that respect. It isn't particularly honky or forward like I found the V-Moda XS. It's got a kind of nice, nothing special, but a sort of little emphasis on the lower kind of treble or the upper mid-range that gives everything just a bit more liveliness. Now, in terms of treble, the Solo 2 is definitely rolled off. It's got a bit of a blunt sound to the treble. It lacks a bit of texture. Compared to the Sennehsier Amperior, for instance, the treble sounds subdued. As a result, the soundstage is a bit compressed. It's less airy than I would perhaps like it to sound. On the other hand, I think it's the right kind of tuning for a headphone that you're likely to wear on a train or in any sort of high noise environment, because it's not going to ruin your ears when you turn it up with high frequency treble. That said, I would prefer just a little more treble extension. So in the end, the Solo 2 costs around the same as the Sennehsier Amperior and the V-Moda XS. So how would I choose between them all? I prefer the Solo 2 over the XS. Now, the XS has nicer build quality, and some people are going to prefer the leaner sound that the XS has. Personally, I didn't really like the kind of sound from the XS. It sounds just a bit honky and forward in the vocals, and I found the bass a bit gummy. I think the isolation is quite poor on the XS, especially compared to the Solo 2, and I found the fit just a little too loose on my head. So, my vote is for the Solo 2. Now, compared to the Amperior is my favorite on-ear portable headphone, and it still remains my favorite on-ear portable headphone. I think I like the leaner bass on the Amperior. It's leaner than the Solo 2, it's not as thick, and as a result I think it sounds a bit more tight to my ears. I like the treble texture. It's definitely more aggressive on the treble than the Solo 2. Now, some people find the treble on the Amperior quite harsh, so again, this is a sort of preference thing, but for my purposes, along with the the replaceable parts and the wearing comfort, I prefer the Amperior over the Solo 2. All that said and done, I think the Solo 2 is definitely on a similar sort of tier with these two other headphones, and they are definitely an impressive headphone, and I'm surprised at how difficult it was to make the comparison with these two other headphones. You don't have to listen to me though. The Solo 2 is something that's going to be incredibly easy to find in the store, so if you're curious, I do recommend you go into the store and have a long and open-minded listen to these headphones. And when I say long and open-minded, I don't mean listen to the demo tracks on the Apple Store for 10 seconds and then decide it's a piece of crap. Honestly, give it a fair go, and I think you may or you may not be surprised, but I think this is a pretty decent headphone. Anyway, click the like button if you found this review helpful, and consider trying out that new YouTube fan funding feature. You can talk to me on Facebook at facebook.com/LachlanLikesAthing, or on Twitter at LachLikesAthing. I'm looking forward to your comments if you do have a listen to these headphones. I'm curious about what you think, and happy listening.